So after purchasing a couple of items over the past few weeks, it looks like I might actually get them fitted now, eventually, now that the weather's broken. So I bought a Maxxfan Deluxe and a Fiamma 40. This is to obviously go in the roof of the van. This is the Maxxfan. After looking at some excellent reviews online and on YouTube, I decided to splash out on one of these. I didn't want to compromise on the quality of the fan I installed. I don't think it's an area where you should. I think you should buy the best one that you can afford, really. This one came in at an eye-watering £300. Yes, I know, I nearly fell off my seat as well when I said it, when I saw the price. But they're actually selling for more than that online as well. Goodness knows how. This should be able to get rid of all the hot air that's in the van, and not just the hot air that comes off me before anybody says anything. Comes in 3 parts. You've got the flange. This is the one that goes inside underneath. Won't be needing that until I put the insulation in the roof. This is the flange that goes onto the roof of the van on the outside, and then the extractor unit simply slots in place and is held together with 4 screws. So that's the unit for that. Excuse me. This is the Fiamma 40. I couldn't justify buying 2 Maxxfans, not at the price they are. And I think this will do just as good a job. It'll give us a good airflow. If not, I can retrofit a fan into this at a later stage if I'm finding I'm not getting enough airflow through the van. But I think with the gap that this is going to create, it should give us a good airflow through the van. So this cardboard cutout is an exact size of the flange that needs to go through the roof. I'm just double checking the measurements. Looks like I've checked them twice looking at this video. So I'm just going to drill some holes on the corners. This will give me a reference marks when I go up to the roof, and then I just join the holes up, and it'll give me a line for cutting with the jigsaw. So here we are on the roof. I'm just cleaning the area where I'm going to be working. This is my high-tech tool bag. Right, so this piece of wood is exactly 355 millimeters, which is the size of the opening that I need. So it's another reference for the size of the in between the holes. I know that if the holes are not the same length as what the piece of wood is, then I've made a mistake with the cardboard cutout. So I'm putting some masking tape down here. I didn't really need to do this because I was going to rough the area up anyway to accept the mastic. And as it turned out, it took me ages to get that tape off the roof of the van. I'm just putting some tape in the corners here just to stop the drill moving around when I try to cut through it. I'm going to cut 4 half-inch holes into the roof of the van. This will just allow the jigsaw blade to get through easier. Or I should say allow it to move around in the corners. So now I've got the hoover out. I'm just going to hoover up all the shards that have been created from the drill. It's important to get rid of all these little pieces because they will make a mess of your roof once they start to rust if you don't get rid of them. In fact, I actually went back over the van again once I'd completed both the installs just to make sure that I had got all of the the pieces up. So you're just cutting this out with a jigsaw, put a new metal cutting blade in there, and it just went through it like a knife through butter. I was surprised how thin the metal was actually. I thought it would have been a bit thicker than what it was. So I'm just following the guidelines, just going around. Now I'll put some tape on here. The idea was that it was going to hold the piece in place when I cut the final portion out. As it turned out, it didn't work out like that. I should have used some gaffer tape or something a lot stronger. Because the weight of it just pulled it straight off. But good intentions. As you'll see here, it falls into the van. So I just reach in and pull it back out again. Luckily enough, there was nobody in the van when it fell through. So I just cut the final portion. I've just dropped it through the hole. I've got a big 4-foot wide box underneath the hole, so it's catching all the little filings that's coming off from the cutting. And it's a good rubbish bin as well, just to throw all the bits in. So I'm just cutting the corners out here, just to square it up. And any second now we're going to do a test fit of the flange, and as you see, it doesn't fit, and I even tried turning it around, but because it's a square it still won't fit. And then I realised that in one edge I've actually come slightly off the line, so I'm just recutting that. It was only about a 1/16 of an inch, or about a millimetre, but it made quite a difference. It stopped it dropping in. So there, that goes in perfectly. So now we need to remove all the tape, which actually took me about 15 to 20 minutes in reality. I've chopped it all out, the footage, and I'm just passing my excess tools down, the ones I'm finished with, to my trusty assistant inside the van, who doesn't want to be on camera. And here I'm just filing the edges to get rid of any burrs. And then we'll start taking the mastic off. Not the mastic, the masking tape. As I say, it took me ages to get that off. I'm just hoovering up again, just trying to get rid of all the little bits. So it's important that you get rid of all of these, because they will rust and it'll just eat straight through the roof of your van. And now coming up shortly, my battery dies. So I recorded doing exactly the same procedure for the Fiamma Vent. It doesn't make much difference which one it is. It's both the same process, it's just in a slightly different position, that's all. But the build-up of the mastic is exactly the same. As you can see here, I'm cleaning the area with some isopropyl alcohol or rubbing alcohol. There, this is the notice just to say that the camera battery failed. So the next clip you see will be this is the hole for the Fiamma Vent. I'm just going to use some hammerite just to paint the edge, just to be on the safe side. I don't think it'll make much difference because this is going to be all sealed inside the van, but better safe than sorry. So I just went round the edges with the hammerite. I've chopped some of it out because obviously you don't want to watch the whole thing. And then it's just a case of putting the mastic around. This is a mastic silicone on a roll. It's like a very thick sort of silicone tape, as it would be, as it were. So I'm just going around, just taking it up to the ribs, filling in all the gaps, trying to get it as tight as possible onto the ribs. and down the sides, and making a small or leaving as smaller gaps as possible. I'm just using the stick here just to flatten it all off and try and keep it all level. If you use your thumb, you end up with indentations. It's okay smoothing it over with your thumb, but you don't want to press it down with your thumb, as you'll end up with holes which you don't want. So we do this again. This is the second layer. That front edge that's facing towards the front of the van, I tried to keep that, or the left and right corners I should say, trying to keep those straight across the top rather than having the sides coming to the top, otherwise that would have left a gap that the water could have gone into. At least this way it should go down the sides. And I've got the mastic tight up against the ribs, so there shouldn't be any gaps there. And once you screw the flange down into it, it squashes it again. So just be careful as you're putting it on. You see where I've caught it there? It grabs straight away, and it takes quite a bit getting it back off again. I actually wasted about 6 inches or more. So I think this is the final layer I'm putting on now. It actually took 3 layers, and which made it slightly proud of the ribs. And I'm just using the stick to press it down to get it to the same height, and trying to make sure it's level all the way around. Taking the tape off, and now I'm using some Sikaflex 512. It seems to be what all the other builders use, and I'm just going by their wisdom. It seems to work for everybody else, so I don't know reason why it shouldn't work for me as well. So we just put a decent bead all the way around. You don't want a huge amount. It's only as a safety precaution. Just fill in any small gaps. It probably would have filled it in just by putting the flange on. So here we're back with the Maxxfan now. So this is the flange that fits to the roof, and as you can see, I'm going to drill and screw this down. Don't screw it down too tight. You just want it so that the mastic just starts to move as you're screwing it down. Otherwise you'll end up with it all buckled. And so don't over tighten them. And then once we get that in, we can just drop the fan in. No, we can't. We have to put the silicone around the edge first, once we get this tightened down. Getting ahead of myself. Oh, I thought I'd cut some of that out, obviously not. Right, so here's the silicone. I'm just putting a bead around the edge. Now I've seen loads of videos where people have siliconed these things up, and they've got it everywhere. It's smeared across the van and across the top of the flanges and everywhere. And you're far better just putting a small bead around and then just tidying up and keeping it as neat as you possibly can. The tip here is, once you get the silicone on, if you mix up a solution of a couple of drops of washing up liquid, or dish soap for those who are in America, and some water, and you just give it a spray of fine mist over the silicone and on the tool that you're going to use to smooth it over, you'll find you get a lovely smooth finish to it. It doesn't stick to the tool, and any small bits you can easily wipe off. So I'm using a small butter knife here. I hope my wife doesn't watch this video, otherwise I will be in trouble. She hasn't missed it yet, so I'm safe at the moment. So just work your way around. Just add a little bit more if you need it, and just keep working at it. And just build a nice layer up. Make it as tidy as you possibly can. And then get some, this is just kitchen roll I'm using, just to wipe away any excess. And now I'm just lowering the extractor into place. One thing, when you do put the flange on the roof, make sure that that it's the right way around, so that where these screw holes are, your fan's going to fit in the right direction. You don't want to put your flange in sideways and end up with your fan going the wrong way. So it's just a case of tightening these screws up. it's only held on with 4 screws. All the screws are supplied with this unit as well for this, which they should be, mine, for £300. In fact, I think for that price they should send somebody around to fit it for you as well. So I'm just tightening it up. Don't over tighten them, you just want to nip it up, that's all. And I suppose the good thing about this unit is that if you do have any problems with it, you can just undo the screws and just lift it straight out. So my assistant inside is going to manually lower that down. That's it, so that's that one fitted. So we'll do a video later of the install for the inside once I get the roof completed. So now the Fiamma, so here we're back at that hole again, and this Fiamma unit is all in one piece. The flange is attached to the hood. So you just drop it into place, make sure your hinges are facing the front of the van. This will keep it a bit more secure. Less danger of it blowing off when you're driving along. And then this takes 20 screws. I used number 8 30mm stainless steel for this. These screws don't come with this, you have to buy these separate. But the vent is less than 1/3 of the price, so you can't really expect the screws to be with it. Like I say, if I find I need more airflow, I'll just add a fan to that. So, and then the battery died again. So that's both of them fitted. I hope there's something been of some use to you. You can see the units here, both in place. Like I say, I hope there's something here has been of some use to you. And thanks for watching. Hope to see you in the next one. Bye for now.